So that's it. It's not a degen project, but it's a long term, definitely interesting for long term, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. All right. Then we've got Seth Green and Steve Aoki launching a Web3 series. So
Yeah.
Steve Aoki is, a famous DJ. He's quite notable in the space. In the bull market, every time Steve Aoki aped into any collection, it would automatically dump. He was almost like what's that news anchor's name? Who every time he says
Oh my
sell
God, I know you're
Bitcoin.
talking about. Yeah, he definitely was the top signal for a while.
Yeah, so that's Steve Aoki, Seth Green, famous actor and producer now. So they're launching a collection where I don't know if you remember, and it might be before your time, Cade, but I do want to play this in the background, and I just want to mute it, otherwise my thing. I don't know if it was before your time, Kate, but we used to have books when we were kids, like not
What'd you say?
babies, but
What
like
are they called?
we used to have
Books?
books
You said
when we
books?
were kids.
What is that?
Books.
Books?
It's a thing that you read. A book. Okay, we used to have books where you could change the ending. So you'd finish the book, and then it would say, or you get near the end, and it would say, go to page 74 if you want this. And there were different endings to the book. Have you ever heard of that before in your whole life?
Yes.
Have you ever read a book like that?
Yes. I've also watched shows where they have that, like in Black Mirror.
Yeah, exactly. So it's quite interesting because that's what they're doing here. They launching a collection wherein the holders of that NFT will determine by vote the outcome of the series, what happens to these different characters and things like that. And not just the outcome, but they'll almost every stage they'll go to the community and say, all right, we've got 10 options here. This blue guy can either be killed or he can kill, or he can save people, or he can become a hero, or he can get squashed, and the community will vote, and that will determine the sequence of the story.
Yeah. I love it. I love the shit like that.
Yeah. That's interesting. Well, look, it's definitely something we haven't seen before in the space. So you'll be able to choose if he blows up, how he dies, if he stays alive, or what happens in there. So yeah, man, it's interesting to see.
Dude, I'm down. I love shit like that because I mean, it depends kind of like what their goal is there. Like a Web3 stop motion series, that's very good for this current climate today for people in Web3. Obviously, no one outside Web3 is going to care about this, but I still think it's worth having activations that are like for the present moment for people here today. And people don't think about that a lot. They're like, what's the point of this? No one's going to watch a Web3 show in the future. Like in the future, this, that, and the other. I'm like, yeah, but we're not in the future. We're here. And so we're here in a time period where like mass adoption is not a thing. And that is the reality of our situation. So I'm down for it. I'm down for anyone building and building out and the path, because other people will build on top of this for something that's actually going to work. And so props to anyone who is pioneering, because it's scary and it's hard. And people love to talk shit from the peanut gallery. And the only people talking from the peanut gallery are the people who had never done anything. And so we expect,
100%. So yeah, they're launching on Shibuya XYZ. That company, Shibuya recently got, I think it was $6 million in seed funding. You see, that can create an entire company, Kate, instead of 30-second advert to people who don't care.
True.
And yeah, they're basically saying that the project will use real-time story building narratives directly from Replicant X community. That's the name of the project, Replicant X. Replicant X holders also vote on the ending of the scenes, and they'll be voting each week. At the end of 6 weeks, everyone who took part and voted will get a memorial NFT of varying rarity depending on how much you participated. So the more active you are in determining the outcome of the story, the rarer the NFT that you'll be given afterwards will be.
Yeah, well, Steve Aoki, change your narrative, bro. Steve Aoki is going to be the number one Web3 music artist of all time. It's possible.
Yeah, listen, he's definitely It's good to see him. So yeah, here it says that 2 months ago, Shiba Inu raised 6.9 million is the amount of money, and yeah, I mean they've got the backing. So as you said, it's something new in the space. Definitely good to see guys building and trying new things. I think it's
Yeah.
great, right?
Also, before we move on from this, I was going to
Yeah,
say for
sure.
people, when people like the only reason I want to bring this up is because when people watch my channel, I want them to understand the ways I come to certain conclusions. And um, just like this is something that someone, I forget who it is, but someone talks about this in their podcast a lot. It's something that I believe in, which is why I watch them. Is they always mention this. They're like, life is not, it just isn't black and white. It just isn't simple sometimes. For a lot of things, they just are, there are a lot of factors that affect a lot of things. And people want to make it black and white because it's easier to categorize in their head. They're like, oh, they're this kind of person because they did this, because this happened. And it's just, it literally just isn't that simple. So when people, when you hear a story like this, like Steve Aoki and Seth Green drop a thing, they're going to try this thing. People have like a knee-jerk reaction. They're like, that's the stupidest thing ever. Or they're like, oh, nice. But they never think like, okay, like I wonder what their goal is. Let me try and figure out what their goals are. If their goal is not to like beat YouTube, then maybe I don't need to talk shit about them because they're not trying to do that anyway. They just want to make a Web3 video stream platform. And that is all they're doing. They're just want to experiment. So you're like, okay, so now we have two multi-million-dollar music artists who are bored in Web3 who want to build a video stream platform to help other creators. And you were pissed at them a second ago because that's so stupid. They're never going to beat YouTube. It's like, that was not the point though. And if you can like bring together all those points in your head, I think it'll just alleviate the anxiety that humans have over everything when they're like, or not the anxiety maybe, but just like what's the word? Like the anger and just like the polarity of people's opinions, and they just feel the need to just express the difference in opinion. And I'm like, it doesn't have to be that. Like it might just be chill. And I hope that people who watch us can sort
be
of
neutral on things. Like we said with Andrew Tate, like
yeah.
both you and I are neutral. We don't know enough. It doesn't. We don't have to take a stance. We don't have to say he's right or he's right. We don't know it. There's nothing to do with us. But I do agree with you, and I think look, you and I, and I can confidently say this, speak on your behalf and for me, believe in the space long term hugely. Otherwise, we wouldn't be sitting here. I mean, honestly, it's a Friday night. Both of us, have got stuff we could be doing, and we choosing to sit here and discuss the space and bring stories and news. And the reason I'm doing it, I know that you're the same, is because I fundamentally believe that this technology is going to change the world. I believe that blockchain technology is the absolute future. I think it's as big as the internet was when it was launched. If you think about what the world was like before being able to go on the internet to get your news and order your things and research stuff and everything, that's how big this shift is going to be. I know it's not going to happen overnight, and I'm here for the long run because of that. So I think with stuff like that, when we see a story like Steve Aoki and Seth Green partnering up to try something new, not as you said, not to make huge amounts of money or whatever, they want to experiment because they also believe that blockchain is the future, and maybe this iteration of it is something that is good and does work, and they want to try. And I take my hat off to them. I think that that's absolutely great. I'm not really interested in what the floor price on the NFTs that they finally drop are going to be. I'm not in any. I just think it's something that's really good overall for the space, and that makes me happy. And I know you're the same. So that's really where I come at it and say, look, I think this is great. I think it's good.
Yeah, 100%, dude. 100%. Let can go.
Cool. And then